What do you like in your Pokémon designs? It's a question worthy of a thought experiment, as many of your favorite Pokémon are likely your favorite for one reason or another, so there must be a pattern in my favorites that we can identify. A few months ago, I unveiled my top 20 or so favorite Pokémon, but I've since expanded that graphic to include the 30 or so Pokémon that I definitively rank above all other Pokémon, and call my favorites for one reason or another. I've looked over this list and I've found various patterns, similarities, and even contrasts in this collection of designs that I think would be interesting to dive into. We'll look at different parts of 3 different categories: visuals, personality, and lore, since I think those are the core philosophies that go into the creation of every Pokémon design, and various categories and factors within each philosophy influence how much we like or dislike certain designs. Keep in mind, I won't be discussing in-game stuff like power, rarity, moves, or even typing, since this is focused on designs only, and for me at least, my favorite Pokémon are synonymous with my favorite designs, since I don't dabble too much in competitive battling, and I use Pokémon whether they're amazing or not. Without further ado, let's get into it. First up in the visuals category, color. It's fitting to lead off with this category because color is perhaps the most important thing that we notice as humans. It's almost instinctual. Different colors convey different emotions that we learn the meanings of pretty much at birth, and certain color patterns are pleasing almost universally whether we want to admit it or not. So given that, have I chosen my favorite Pokemon subconsciously due to my favorite colors? Well, yes. 22% of my favorite Pokemon have some kind of purple or lavender on them, while 19% have a pretty specific shade of green. Obviously not the exact same green, but pretty close overall, with the exception of Dhelmise, who is a pretty unique teal among all Pokemon. And wouldn't you know it, green and teal are my favorite colors, as well as the Tam Valley channel colors. Shocking, right? Well, let's go a bit deeper. My favorite color combo is neither of my 2 favorite colors, though this color that I use on the channel is pretty pleasing if I do say so myself. My favorite color combo is actually golden yellow and royal blue. Go Warriors, baby! Interestingly, only 2 of my favorite Pokemon seem to have this combo, Empoleon and Aurorus. I like Pokemon that are either yellow and white or blue and white instead. Honestly, don't like the way yellow is used on most Pokemon, it seems like, or at least most traditional electric types haven't made my favorites list. It's also interesting to reflect on the fact that I like Pokemon with either darker or cooler tones, so heavy use of black, green, purple, or blue, rather than lighter tones like yellow, tan, orange, or red. I don't really like warm tone colors in real life when it comes to decor or anything either, as bright saturated shades of red or orange can stress me out or hurt my eyes. I prefer them as subtle accent colors. But speaking of saturation, the final takeaway on color here is that, well, I like it. Virtually all of my favorite Pokemon are either extremely saturated or have at least 1, but often 2, bright and fun colors. If a Pokemon is either predominantly black or white or overall tan, they're definitely the exception, not the rule. And they tend to have interesting patterns, which brings me to patterns. I love Pokemon that have interesting markings, color alterations, details, or contrasting elements on their bodies. With the exception of Gengar and Bewear, almost every fully evolved Pokemon on my list has something going on visually. We have highly contrasting accents like Rayquaza, Togekiss, or Golurk, small secondary colors that really boost the design overall. We also have pure contrasting colors like Pangoro, Chandelure, or Gallade, designs that make interesting use of either black or white, or both in a unique way. Then Pokemon that have either pleasing fur or surface patterns that really make sense for their designs, like Suicune's crystal-like markings that contrast well against the flowy cape, Aurorus's rugged gem-like neck patterns that also contrast against its sails, or how Dhelmise's seaweed contrasts against the rusty anchor, both in terms of color and shape. It's awesome. I guess I just love Pokemon that have a lot going on visually or are otherwise interesting to look at. Oh, and speaking of shape, that's another important factor in the final category in the visual philosophy department that we'll consider. Shape is another thing that I think influences our design preferences. Something might be sharp and complex, and might be seen as a threat because of it, while something round and simple might be seen as a friend. But Pokemon always strikes a good balance, and while it's certainly true that I am not a fan of any of the super complex Pokemon, or many of the other arthropod-based designs, the round Pokemon that I like aren't too simple either. Overall, I think I just like dynamic designs. I like designs that are either slightly exaggerated, even if the body style is relatively humanoid or simple, where it provides a dynamic silhouette with easily identifiable features. I really like Pokemon with big wings, paws, or heads. I find it endearing and entertaining. I don't like all too many Pokemon with realistic or overly proportionate body types, but I have other reasons for liking them. Another surprising find was that I tend to like Pokemon that are armored. I didn't know that I like super imposing or tough Pokemon, but I guess I do. All these Pokemon are either bulky or super agile, but they both have visible shapes on their bodies that indicate some degree of physical toughness. I guess I just like that in my allies. And I guess that I prefer Pokemon that can put up a good fight and act as a protector. Which brings us to our second philosophical tenet, personality. This is obviously important for reasons that I don't need to explain, but people glean their Pokemon's personalities in different ways, whether it be through the anime, in-game battle animations, the official art, or secondary material. I can't recall the first time I saw each of these Pokemon, but I can say for sure that I love the personality of each and every Pokemon here. But why don't we branch out and I'll tell you what I don't like in a Pokemon's personality before I tell you what I do like. This is in part a design thing, but I don't like overly grotesque Pokemon. Pokemon that look like they're in pain or are a freak of nature, or just plain ugly with no redeeming qualities. I can still admit that plenty of these are great designs, a lot of them are, but they just make me personally uncomfortable, so I can't connect with them. I also don't like Pokemon that look really malicious. This could be Pokemon that look hyper intelligent in a kind of menacing or threatening way, like I don't trust these Pokemon to use their powers and not hurt me. Or Pokemon that just seem irredeemably unapproachable for one reason or another, like they either hate everyone or they choose to harm others over forming bonds. I mean, isn't bonds why we all like Pokemon? Plenty of iconic monstrous designs fit this bill, and it is a staple of Pokemon, but it's just not for me. So what do I like? Well, I love Pokemon with offbeat personalities. I love the idea of making friends with Pokemon who aren't malicious or evil, but just shy, aloof, or otherwise misunderstood. I think that's why I love the Ghost type so much, since their personalities are pretty much made for this, with goofy, unconventional expressions and solitary or prankster type personalities. I think it's always been my favorite thing to train a team of Pokemon who are cast-offs, a bunch of misfits. I also love Pokemon that are stoic and fierce, using their powers responsibly for good. There's something so awesome about a Pokemon that looks like it could kill you, but it doesn't, because it's very emotionally and morally sound, and it trusts you as its partner. It's a relationship formed on respect, which I absolutely love. I love treating these Pokemon with a degree of mutual respect, and knowing that they'll lay down their life for me or their teammates. I think most starter final evolutions nail this, hence why I have 4 of my own on my favorites list. But plenty of my other favorites fit this bill perfectly. Finally, the third personality type that I love is cute Pokemon, but cute in a useful way. Many of these rounder, gentler Pokemon are big, strong, and intelligent, and their design suggests that they could help you out in some way, like giving you a ride on their back, giving you food or shelter, or they would just be a reliable partner, like a real-life pet. Isn't that what we all want in our Pokemon? Again, it's a relationship formed on respect, love, and protection, so no surprise that a core philosophy of the franchise makes its way onto my Pokemon preferences. And now we're on to the last tenet today, lore. This is technically part of the design process since every Pokemon has some degree of lore, inspiration, or origin, whether that's through real life or through the context of the franchise. Thinking about how each and every Pokemon fits into the world and its culture and ecology is a huge part of why I love Pokemon, and it certainly influences my favorites in some way. First up, let's dive once again into what I don't like, legendaries. I have nothing against them. They're great, they're interesting parts of Pokemon's world culture, and often the very fabric of its universe. But due to that importance, I often have trouble connecting with them as friends, characters, or individual creatures. Rather, I see them as story elements or something to worship like a god. I also only have 2 Pokemon that I can say I have any true connection to, Rayquaza and Suicune. Why? Well, I'm not sure, but it's definitely not because they're legendary. My preference for them entirely relies on their design, not their lore. I also tend not to like man-made Pokemon, just because I have trouble connecting to Pokemon that often lack traditional faces, or because I view them as somewhat uncanny or a bit too cartoonish. But this isn't a video about what I don't like. So what do I like in a Pokemon's origin? Well, I like balance. I like Pokemon that are familiar to our world in a discernible way, that have something to ground them, but also have at least one fantastical element that sets them apart. Too much in either of those 2 directions, and I'm not really a fan. I don't resonate with Pokemon that are too grounded, Pokemon that just feel like cartoonish versions of real-life animals, nor do I really like Pokemon that are extremely abstract and almost entirely based in the world of Pokemon. I can recognize that their designs are completely original and unique, but it's just not what I value. No, I love Pokemon that perfectly strike that balance, like Infernape, clearly an ape, while also pulling from the idea of Sun Wukong. Gallade, a vaguely humanoid Pokemon with clear, yet still abstract origins in the concepts of chivalry and courage. Chandelure, a haunted chandelier and will-o-wisp. Berserker, a feral Norwegian domestic cat who has Viking tendencies. There are admittedly a few Pokemon who are pretty vague and more based off of the general idea of a Pokemon more so than real stuff, but I still love the richness to their lore, like Gengar and its role as a doppelganger. However, if it's still a balanced mix of real-world concepts and Pokemon ones but is still somehow too vague in both categories, it can come off as generic and replaceable to me. Dragonite just feels like a Pokemon like Dragon, of which there could be many. Meanwhile, another simple and vague Pokemon like Togekiss once again feels perfect to me for its more creative identity. What can I say? I just want my Pokemon to feel unique, rare, and special. So when you analyze the balance between these three tenets of visual design, personality, lore, and how they're all connected, I'm sure you can find some commonalities, consistencies, patterns, or even weird contrasts in the designs that you tend to like. I hope this was an interesting thought exercise, and it gives you a new way of thinking about all your favorite designs. Thanks for watching, and I hope you tune back in next week when I take on an even bigger Pokemon design topic in what might be my biggest video yet. If you like what I do and want to support longer form projects like this, like what I've got planned for the rest of summer, you can join the Tam Valley Patreon, a place to help support the channel directly while also getting great rewards both on the channel and the community Discord server. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time for more content.